Do you realize that my results have not dramatically, but substantially improved since I started taking the the Jody Jolly productivity coaching?
Well,
Did you
very
know that?
good.
Yeah.
Like to hear
I-
that.
It's shall we say, um showing promise,
Good.
and um I know I have quite a bit to tweak on, and I know more about my strengths and weaknesses than I did before, and I'm just really thankful for this program.
Well, very good. I appreciate hearing that. Glad it's working for you. We're going to go ahead and get started. This is a conversation today that I want to have to help everyone really take a good, honest look at your business, the activities that you're doing to get the business, what's working, what's not working, those types of things. So before we get into that discussion, did anyone here come with something specific to mastermind around? And so, Dennis, just to be clear with this, okay, this is not ask a coach. So we are not talking about, how do I do this? How do I do that? This conversation in mastermind is around things that will actually move our business forward, and each of us masterminding around how those things are. So if we need command help, if we need other types of help, that's ask a coach. Okay. I would like to say that when we have a new one in the room, just so we know what the purpose of this meeting is. Hi, Rufina. I saw you for a second.
I am here. I'm here.
There's
I'm here listening.
she's at the store. All
Yes, I am. I'm helping my husband.
right. So, did anyone come with something specific that you need to mastermind around today? No? Okay.
Oh,
If
just about the law in place that, I mean the changes on the BRBC that is now mandatory. What I heard yesterday at the meeting, something that is no longer is coming, is here to stay.
Yeah, so we're not going to talk much about that today, but I will touch on that just to give you an update and for the benefit of those who are watching this recorded as well. The settlement has been approved, so we are moving forward. Everyone has to be on board with the changes by August 17th. Okay, what that means is that soon your MLSs will change listing inputs where you will no longer be able to put a commission to the other side. And you will have to use the BRBC, the Buyer Representation Broker Compensation Agreement. They are making changes to that, to the purchase agreement, and to the listing agreement. We do not yet have the new documents, and once we have them, your market centers and the program will bring that all to you. Okay. So you don't need to worry about doing anything differently yet. Although, whatever your market center tells you to do as far as requiring the BRBC, prior to August 17th, you do need to comply with your market center's requirements. CAR will not require them until August 17th, or NAR, okay? But market center takes precedence over that. And I know there's a couple of your market centers already requiring them. Okay. Okay. So be assured that we are going to bring you everything you need to know as it starts to happen. Okay. So you won't have to worry about that. Does that help you, Rafina?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
The August 16 is something that I didn't know. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, so let me ask you, does everyone here have a clear, defined goal for this year? in terms of your real estate business? Okay.
Not really.
Okay, so let's do this. And I'm gonna just kind of, since we have so few in here today, I'm just gonna kind of call on each one of you. There's no right or wrong answer, okay? So Dennis, how many transactions or families would you like to help this year?
Well, I would like to help 6 families
Okay,
find the home of their dreams, and I feel that I should have spoken up earlier, Jodi, and I apologize, but you asked if there was anything in particular that you thought you should center your mastermind around. Now, I have a big problem with limiting beliefs, and I'd like to learn how to fix that,
okay,
in my brain. So, I mean, not that you'd have to center the whole hour around it, but that would be very beneficial to me.
okay. I think we're all victims, shall we say, of limiting beliefs from time to time, right? If we're being honest. And we will set aside a few minutes at the end to talk about that, okay? Um, and then I want you to be thinking in the meantime, Dennis, about, and you can put it in the chat for us if you would like, a specific limiting belief that's holding you back right now, okay? And all of you, please think about that. What's funny is I was actually going to bring that up if we had time at the end. And since you brought it up, I will make time at the end. But any of you on this call, if there is a limiting belief that you feel is currently holding you back, please put it in the chat. Okay. And then we'll address those in a little bit. But what I want to start with is, first of all, what everybody's goal is. So Dennis wants to help 6 people. Matt, how many people would you like to help this year?
My goal is 10.
Okay. Amanda, how about you?
At least 5.
Okay. Maria?
My goal for the year is 10 too.
Okay. Rufina?
Yes, I was writing. I'm sorry. 10 families.
Okay. And Janet?
You want me to talk about if I have any limiting beliefs?
I want to know how many people you want to help buy or sell a home this year.
Oh, well, as many as I can. But
Okay.
if you are specific, um, hmm, let's say maybe 15 people.
Okay. So the first step to achieving your goals is knowing what it is, right? So a goal needs to be, we like to call it SMART, and that's an acronym.
Mhm.
S, specific. M, measurable. A, action oriented.
Mhm.
R, realistic. And T, time bound. Right? So we need to be, if we have a goal, we need to be able to know when we want to achieve it by, what it is we want to achieve, how we're going to get there, and how we can measure that along the way. So we've talked a couple weeks ago about the importance of filling out the tracker link that gets sent to you, your weekly activity tracker. Every Monday morning, you get sent that link. It's incredibly important that you click on that link and you answer all of those questions. And you should be tracking that information, because without that information, you will have no idea where you're at in regard to your goal. Right? And so if you just are in this business to play around and don't care if you make money, well, okay. There's no judgment. And if you're in this business to make money, make a living, have a career, help people, there's a right way, best practice way, and then there's a way that you'll not really get very far. Okay? So our goal is to help you get your business going and have a solid business, not just, we want you to be in business, not busyness. Does everybody know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
Because there's a myriad of activities that you can do related to your real estate business that are just going to keep you super busy, but do absolutely nothing to grow your business. Okay. So we want to make sure we're doing the right activities. So, what are activities? Matt, how come I can't see you anymore? Did you go away?
I'm moving.
Okay. The backgrounds make it where you can't see if you're not right up in the camera. Okay, so what are the activities that are going to grow your business?
It's very, very simple, right? We have to lead generate.
Lead
Okay.
generation.
That's absolutely one of the activities. What else?
Make appointments.
That's another one. Make appointments. Gary Keller says there's 5 main ones. So
Um,
lead generate, set appointments. What's another one?
um,
Follow up. Right
Lead follow up.
contracts.
Absolutely. Because not every lead is ready to do business yet, right? So we have to follow up with those leads. We set and go on appointments. What else?
Right
Meaningful
contracts.
discussions.
Okay. Yes, meaningful discussions is all part of all of this, right? And I heard Maria say write and negotiate contracts, right? And there's one more key thing that nobody wants to admit to, and nobody wants to admit that this is key. What is it?
Mindset.
Okay, that is true. That's not the one I'm looking for.
Oh, okay.
This is the specific 5 pieces of the job description or the 5 big rocks as outlined in the MREA book.
close.
Well, that's not a big rock. That's a consequence, a good consequence of those actions, right? That's the outcome we're looking for. But what are the actions to get us to the outcome of closings?
Oh,
Soft scoping.
well,
What is the one thing that most of you don't like to do when we ask you to do it?
Cold calling.
No,
Door knocking.
no.
no.
Okay. So the 5 big rocks, according to the MREA book, lead generate, lead
Keep
follow up.
track.
What?
Keep tracking of your numbers.
Well, that's something we need to do, but that's not one of the 5, right? We said set and go on appointments, write, negotiate contracts. But in order to do those things, what do we need to do? What do we need to practice regularly?
Oh,
Conversation.
Scripts. Scripts.
There you go. We need to practice our conversations. So if there is anything that you're nervous about being asked, that is a conversation you need to practice, right? And you need to be honest with yourself about it. What is the one thing you're most nervous about a client asking you? And whatever that is, you need to practice that. How many people on this call are at Mega Monday every week?
Most Mondays, yeah.
Yay. I know some of you are very regular, and there's many that are not and need to be. Now, we understand if you have another job where you're not able to come, that we get. Aside from that, there is no reason whatsoever, unless you are literally taking care of an ill family member or child or have another job, that you should not be at Mega Monday. Because you have 30 minutes every Monday with a coach as a group to practice conversations. And this is something you should be doing every single day. Because if you don't practice your conversations, you're not going to get great at your job. And let me tell you something. Rafina mentioned questioning some of the things that are coming up in the coming months. If you don't know your conversations, if you don't know how to articulate your value, if you don't know how to explain to a buyer why there is a fee for them on your buyer representation agreement and why they should pay you, if you don't know how to explain to a seller why they should still pay the buyer's fee, you're not going to make it in this business. You're just not. And I know that sounds harsh, but it is the reality. Okay. One of the things that we learned at leadership camp, I went to Mega Leadership Camp last week, and one of the things that they told us was this market that we're in is not temporary. This is our new normal right now. Okay. We're not going back. If you were in this business 2 years ago, we were order takers. We listed a house, it sold, listed a house, it sold. I mean, with 20 offers on each house at a minimum. Those days are gone. They're not coming back. Okay. That said, there's still so much opportunity. But guess what, guys? We have to do our jobs. We have to work. We have to be willing to do the work. And if we're not going to make it. And it's that simple.
Is there a cloud with a silver lining
Mhm.
on it? Because a lot of people say that this BRBC thing should have been happening all along.
It absolutely should have been. And we coach that you should always use it, regardless of what the market center requires or CAR requires. You should always be using it. That's why it's part of our training, even though it's not required currently. Everyone should use this. And so the silver lining is there's so much opportunity out there. And if you learn this business and you use the tools and the systems and the models that we provide to you, you will be fine. But it's imperative that you do. You can't sit back and hope something's going to happen right now. You have to absolutely be proactive in your business, and you have to be talking to people. You have to be setting appointments. So there is a new interesting statistic that I want everyone to be aware of. Now, it's a statistic, so this is an average, right? You tracking your numbers, you know what is true for you, and that's one of the reasons we have you track your numbers. Shy of that, we have to go with the averages, right? So if I were to ask each one of you, and you don't have to tell me a number, and if you want to blurt it out, you can. Do you know how many people are in your pipeline to transact business in the next 60 days?
Mm,
And if you don't, why not? Are you paying attention to your pipeline? Do you know how many people in your pipeline will transact in the next 6 months?
Oh, sorry. I thought you said 60 days.
I did, but now I'm asking, and I'm now I'm
Oh,
asking 6 months.
yeah. No, I know.
Okay, how many?
I have 3 in my pipeline, and they're looking somewhere between 3 to 6 months.
Okay,
So I'm constantly following up. Yeah.
very good. So do you know how many people are in your pipeline for the next 12 months?
Well, 6 months, two, but not 12.
Okay, nice. So if you have, Janet, if you have a goal of 15 and you have 2 in your pipeline for 6 months from now, and the year is over in 6.5 months, 7 months, is that enough to make your goal?
No.
No. Same thing, Amanda. If you have 3 in your pipeline in 6 months, your goal is 5, might be enough, right? And here's the statistic that everyone needs to be keenly aware of. Write it down. For every 1 closing that you intend to have, you need to have 10 people in your pipeline. That doesn't mean 10 people in your sphere of influence. That means 10 people that have raised their hand and said, I intend to do a real estate transaction in the next 12 months. You need to have 10 people that have told you they want to do a real estate transaction for every 1 closing you intend to have. Who's shocked by that? Yeah, it is a little shocking, right? But if you have 5 buyers in the pipeline who are all say they're going to buy within the next 6 months, and interest rates go up 2 more percent, how many of those are going to leave the pipeline? Now, disclaimer, not saying interest rates are going up 2%. No one knows what's going to happen. We hope they go down a hair, but no one knows, right? The point is, there are things out of your control, out of your client's control, that may start eliminating some of your pipeline. Right? So now let's just say you have those same 5 or 6 buyers that are going to transact in the next 6 months, and interest rates go down 1.5 points. Prices are going to go up so much that some of those still may not be able to buy. It's a double-edged sword, right? So we cannot rely on, oh, I have 3 people that said they're going to buy in the next 6 months, and think we're going to have 3 transactions in the next 6 months. If you want 3 transactions in the next 6 months, you need to find 30 people
Oh.
who say they want to transact in the next 6 months. And if your statistic ends up being better, well, great. Who's going to complain about that, right? I don't think anybody. So is everyone that's currently here on this call, and if you're listening to this recorded, answer this to yourself. Are you going on at least 1 appointment every week? Okay. And if you're not going on 1 appointment every week, why not?
Hey, let me tell you, okay? Do you think I wouldn't love to have more than one appointment per week? Well, are there people that are willing to go? You ask, and people say, I'm not transacting right now. It's not me. It's not in my control. They just don't want to. They are not ready.
Okay. So let me ask you a question. How many people do you talk to about real estate in a week?
Uh, hmm, it just depends. I try, I call or I text, but some people answer, others might not. It's not like everybody's just running to transact right now. See, I just try my best, but it's not on my control. People just busy and say, okay, I don't want to transact right now. I'll let you know. And yeah, they already told me. I'm not gonna keep asking. It is not that simple. It sounds simple and you can say it, and paper is nice, these business models, but look at the reality. People are not willing to transact right now. We have more than 2 million licensed real estate agent in Orange County. And trust me, there are not that many transactions here.
Well, what it tells me is if any person does not have enough appointments, you're not talking to enough people. And if you need to make money and you need to pay bills with your real estate income, and that doesn't apply to everybody, I understand that. But if that is the case for you and you're not setting appointments, it simply means, it doesn't mean you're not doing things, but what it does mean is you're not doing enough. You're not having enough conversations. And so then the question becomes, how do you have more conversations?
Yeah.
Are you doing open houses to talk to people that are basically saying, hey, I'm interested in real estate? Are you doing the activities that will get you the appointments? That is the key. Because if we want to survive in this business, we can't just sit back and say no one wants to have an appointment. We have to continue to find an appointment. And so we've got to do what it takes if our livelihood is depending on this, if your goals are depending on this. And if we're just having the mindset of, well, I'm talking to a lot of people and no one wants to set an appointment. And by the way, please, Janet, don't misunderstand. I'm not picking on you because you said that. This is a common thing. This is something that we talk about in our coaching calls, in our trainings and things. This is something that everybody needs to think about, okay? If we want this to work, we've got to do what it takes. And what it takes for one might be different than what it takes for someone else. You might be somebody that can have 30 conversations a week and be setting 2 appointments because the way you're getting those conversations is getting you closer to now business. For instance, if you're doing open houses and talking to 30 people on a weekend, that half of them don't have agents and are thinking about transacting, you may need to have less conversations. But if you're door knocking, if you're calling people, especially not your SOI and doing other things, you may have to have 100 conversations in a week. So activities matter. So what I want all of you to really think about this week, and you don't have to tell on yourself here or anything like that, but I really want you to think about, what activities am I doing? And is it enough? Do I need to rethink the activities I'm doing? Or do I just need to do more of what I'm doing? Because remember, what's the definition of insanity?
Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results.
Exactly. So one of the things I want to get away from, and not entirely, because if I say this, you're all going to say, oh, she said I didn't have to do that. And that's not what I'm saying. So I want you to listen to what I'm about to say super clear. Okay. On average, it is now taking more than 50 conversations about real estate in a week to have one closing a month. And it isn't just about, oh, I had 50 conversations, so I should be okay. It's about how many conversations are you having. I don't care if it's 5, 50, or 500. If the results are happening, it doesn't matter. And if the results are not happening, we need to have more. And that is why you guys filling out your tracker every week when it gets sent to you is incredibly important, because over time it tells a story. Over time, if you have no appointments and you've only been talking to 5 people a week, well, we know why you don't have any appointments. If you've been talking to 50 people a week and still don't have appointments, now we have to figure out, okay, what conversations are you having that maybe we can tweak? Does this make sense?
Yes.
So really look in yourself and in your business and be honest with yourself about, am I doing the right activities and enough of them for my goal? Because what works for one person isn't necessarily going to work for another person. We don't want to put you in boxes. You each have individual businesses. And yet, there are certain things that we know work. Okay? Any questions, thoughts, comments about any of this?
Scary what you're saying, because I'm really feeling like um, I need to beef up my efforts much more. But it's a good thing.
Yeah, so it's not,
I like it. I like it. It's like an eye-opening experience. So it's good.
yeah. Every so often the market shifts. And so every so often we have to really change how we do our business. This last year, we've had so many shifts, our heads spin. Typically, we've had shifts every 5 to 7 years, and what you're talking about for about 5 years works, then the next 5 years and the next 5 years. We've had to talk about so many different things in this last year and a half. And where things are going, if we don't have these hard conversations and you want to stay in real estate, I would not be doing my job to help you. So we're going to have hard conversations in this mastermind room. We're going to have wake up conversations, and we're going to have accountability conversations. And so the fact that you're here, and we've been getting harder and harder with these conversations as the weeks go by, right? There is no more, oh, okay, well, great job, great try. You talked to 10 people this week. Now, that being said, I can't make anyone do anything, right? All I can do is bring you the tools and bring you the information. And I am proud of everybody for doing what they're doing. And do we need to do more? Because everyone's been saying for the last little while, oh, if we just get to summer, interest rates will go down and then things will start happening. And so it kind of feels like everybody's kind of waiting for that to get busy. We got to stop waiting. It's not going to happen. Even if interest rates go down a little bit, the efforts we have to put in are not going to change. This market's not going anywhere for a while. That's what all things are pointing to. And when I was at leadership camp, they made that crystal clear. They will be making it crystal clear to anyone who can go to mega agent camp in August. If you can at all afford to go, I encourage you to go. It's an eye-opening experience, and it will help your business. Okay, so back to when I said, is everyone having at least one appointment a week? The answer should be yes. And the answer should be regardless of how many people you're talking to and how many people are telling you they don't need to do real estate right now. The answer should still be at least one appointment, because if you don't have an appointment that's a real bona fide real estate appointment in a given week, you should be calling a friend or family member and doing a practice appointment. Call them and say, hey, I really want to practice my skills to be the best agent I can be. Would you mind helping me, giving me 30 minutes to come to your house and do a listing appointment with you? And I'd love your feedback.
Awesome.
Would you mind giving me 30 minutes to do a buyer consultation with you? And I'd love your feedback. Because what we focus on expands. I promise you, if you start doing practice appointments when you don't have real ones will follow. And other people that have put this into practice, what happens is they end up getting really good because they're practicing their appointments, they're practicing their conversations and what they're going to say at a real appointment. Some of the pressure's off because it's not a real appointment and everybody knows it, right? But what happens is you end up doing really well and you impress the people you're talking to. And now suddenly, you might start getting referrals from people you otherwise wouldn't have even asked because you thought you were bugging them.
Can I share something, please?
Yes.
In connection to bugging people. I just celebrated my birthday on on the 14th, and I'm hosting a birthday party, a double birthday party for my son and myself. And in the present section of the invitation, I wrote, and this is my SOI, business people, I need your referrals as a birthday present. Because I thought to myself, this is such a fun way of asking for referrals. And one of them actually reached out and said, yes, I'm on it. Let me go talk to my connections, my people. Because I didn't want to bug them because I thought separation of personal and business, but no, they're my friends. And I know that if I ask for help, they will help me.
Exactly. That's a great outside of the box thing to do. Thank you for sharing that. Remember, guys, your people, your SOI, they want to help you. So why don't you ask for help? A lot of us don't like to ask for help. It's uncomfortable. But do you want to help people? Do you want to close business? Start asking for help.
Can I say one thing? If you went on a listing appointment with somebody that was a seasoned pro and just sat there like a fly on the wall and just listened, you'd absorb something, wouldn't you?
So I'm going to answer that question carefully. So the answer is yes, and you could do that. There's also, and I'm not speaking of anyone in particular, this is just a general statement, okay? There are also a lot of seasoned professionals who have a lot of very bad habits and that don't do things the way they should be done and that don't follow the proper models and systems. Even agents at Keller Williams, unfortunately. So while that's not a bad thing to do, and if someone will allow you to, by all means, a lot of agents don't like people to come with them. You practicing, watching the practice videos that we have, they're very shortened versions of an actual appointment to give you an idea of what needs to be done at an appointment. You just practicing will give you way more insight and experience. Because the more you talk, the more the more you come to your coaching and the more tricks and things that you learn, you'll incorporate them. You'll learn each time you do a practice appointment, oh, I wish I would have said this. Or then you'll go to a mastermind or to a group coaching or to another class at the market center and you'll hear a great idea and say, I'm going to put that in next time. So just be really careful. While that can be a great thing, Dennis, and I'm not discouraging it, just know that there's a lot of people out there that don't have best practices when they do things.
Okay. I will. I'll take that under advisement.
Okay, before we move on to tackle limiting beliefs that Dennis had brought up, any last questions, comments, thoughts on what we've been talking about? Was what we just talked about valuable to you?
Absolutely.
Very.
Awesome. All right. So Dennis, you brought up you would like to tackle some limiting beliefs, so I'm going to come to you first. Do you have a specific one in mind?
Yes. It's not exactly specific, but it is, I go in with best intentions. I give a good presentation if I'm working with a buyer or a seller, and everything seems comfortable and it's going good. But and this is a little bit embarrassing, but
It's a safe
my
room.
negative mindset kicks in and says, something's going to go wrong. I just know it because I want this too much, and that's when I feel like I have to persevere, and I have to say, you know what? This is not what the universe wants for me. The universe wants for me to be successful. It wants me to go forward, and it wants me to go forward in a positive, optimistic way because I am so much happier when I'm optimistic. And, even if I get my heart broken, at least I went into it with a lot of love and a lot of positivity. And that's the kind of person I want to be. And by the way, as long as you're asking me about that, Jodi, I got to tell you that I am much happier as a human being when I don't pay attention to all the little garbage that people will say, like, oh, you'll never make it in real estate. You started too late. Oh, you don't have enough experience. You haven't been a salesperson somewhere. You should have you should have been selling encyclopedias back in in your 20s or whatever. But that's where I that's where I need help. I need help in
Okay.
getting over myself. I am the biggest enemy of me, and my brain is not my friend sometimes.
I think
So,
that's a true statement for most of us. And so I have several thoughts in regard to that. And please, if anyone else has a thought, this is a mastermind. We jump in. First of all, the last thing you said, a bold law jumps out at me, and it is complaining equals garbage magnet. So we don't want to fill our minds with negativity. I'm going to give you an experience, Dennis, that, and this is good for everyone to hear. There was, when I started in this business 27 years ago, there was a real estate agent in Visalia who was top agent. Like, I mean, her office literally was wallpapered with those little, 6x9 plaques for top agent. Literally, there wasn't a blank space on any four walls in her office. She had been top agent forever. Okay. She started in this business after retiring from the gas company. She had full retirement, could have not worked another day in her life, and she was bored. So she started real estate and she became the top agent until, and we all tease, she's going to go to the grave with a contract in her hand. She was an amazing agent, and she was up until she stopped doing real estate because she just really had to. She was number one in this area, and number two was millions of dollars in volume behind her. And numbers 2, 3, 4, 5 were doing phenomenal businesses. That's how good she was. She was number one until Keller Williams came to town with their models and systems, and people started applying them. She did that without models and systems, right? So I share that story to show you, Dennis, it doesn't matter how old anyone is. It doesn't matter when we start this business. If this is something you want, you are absolutely capable of making this work and making a success of it. age does not matter. And so please understand that and please know that. There's one other thing, and then I have some questions for you around what you said, okay? Because I want to seek to understand, right? And there's one other thing that I want you to do. I think everyone else on this call has done this, and if you have not, please show yourself in your camera and play along with us. But if you have done it, bear with me while I go through this with Dennis. Is anyone here not done the lemon exercise? Matt, have you done the lemon exercise?
Yes.
I don't know what the lemon exercise is.
So you probably haven't. Okay. If you've not done the lemon exercise, I need you to do it with me. Okay. So Matt, Dennis, and anyone else who hasn't. I know Maria's probably done it 100
I
times.
haven't done it, so.
Okay. If at all possible, I'd like you to turn your camera on for this exercise. If you can't, I understand, but if at all possible. So first of all, imagine you have a lemon in front of you, and I want you to pick it up. Okay. Now, Matt, are you driving?
Yeah.
Okay. Don't do this then, but imagine
Okay.
as we go, okay? Because we
Okay.
need you to be safe. Pick the lemon up. Now, I want you to smell it. What's it smell like? Okay, now squeeze the lemon. Just squeeze it so the juices start loosening up. And the citrusy smell starts to release. Can you smell it? Is it loosened up now? Are you doing this, Dennis? Okay. Now we've got that lemon really loose and juicy. Take a big bite. What happened?
Squirted all over me.
What'd you taste?
Sour.
Because I saw a couple funny faces be made. Why were funny faces made? Amanda, what'd you experience?
Oh, sorry. We were eating a lemon, weren't we?
Uh-huh.
Lemons are sour.
Okay. But you didn't have a real lemon in your hand. You didn't actually bite into a sour lemon. And yet, I saw funny faces be made. It goes to the point of mindset. What we put in our mind creates our outcomes. Some people have a visceral sour sensation when we go through that exercise, right? And so it's incredibly important that the negative dialogue is removed from our mind. Now, does that mean it's not going to creep up? Of course it is. We're human, but we can't dwell on it and feed it, right? We've got to push it aside and do the positive things. So Dennis, when you go into a list, let's just say listing appointment for sake of argument for conversation, okay? When you go into a listing appointment and you feel it's went really well, at what point do the negative thoughts come in?
Oh, maybe a couple of days later. Maybe sooner. But it's hard to say.
Okay, so when you go on a listing appointment or a buyer consultation, at what point do you set that appointment? Did they just say, hey, I want to buy a house or I want to sell my house? And so you said, okay, great, let's meet. Or did you say, okay, great, I have some questions I want to ask you to learn a little bit about you before we set an appointment?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
When you're new enough to the program, you might not have heard of our qualifying questions. When a buyer or seller raises their hand to do a transaction or say they want to buy or they want to sell, we need to ask a series of questions. These are found in our toolkit. They're qualifying questions. They're going to help us get to a client's motivation to find out if they really even are somebody who needs an appointment right now. They may not be somebody who is ready, willing, and able to transact in the moment. And the point of those questions is to find that out, because we shouldn't be setting appointments with people who are not yet ready, willing, and able, unless it's a conversation to help them know what the next step is. So if we are just saying, oh, great, you want to sell your house? Let's make an appointment. I'll come over and look at your house and we'll have a conversation. We don't know anything about them, right? We don't know anything about the situation. So are you asking qualifying questions before setting appointments? Because it's super
I try
important.
to.
Okay. So I want you to take a look at the qualifying questions that are in the conversation helper library. They're in the buyer or seller conversation section, because those questions are super important to setting the proper stage for an appointment. But then let's just say all of that is done. Okay, we're doing everything how we should be. When we go to an appointment, we need to go with, I'm going to take a listing. Not, I have a listing appointment. Or I'm going on a listing appointment. I'm going to take a listing. I have an appointment to go take a listing. Because
So
we're already.
what you're saying is you have to ask qualifying questions before assuming that your prospect is ready. So you ask questions like, well, what's your current situation now? Do you rent or do you buy, or are you buying a house? Or are you renting? And what's your time frame look like? Do you want to be in a new house in 6 weeks or 6 months? Or what's the current job situation? Is it close enough so in your career that you know that you're set in stone, that you're in a particular area? And
Okay, so for time's sake, Dennis, I'm gonna stop you there. You're on the right track. And some of those questions that you just said are in those qualifying questions. So I want you to look at all of them, because every one of them on there is important. And they're going to be gone over in your video series as well. Plus you'll be going over them through coaching. They're very important, and you are on the right track with that. And that is step number 1. But once we actually are at the point of setting a listing appointment, when we go, it's super important that we're not going on a listing appointment. We're going to take a listing, right? So we're going, in our mind, it's in the bag. Because if we go on a listing appointment and we've done everything properly, thank you, Matt. If we've done everything properly, we should get that listing agreement signed before we leave. Right? So my question would be, if it's 2 days later that the thoughts are coming in because the listing agreement wasn't signed, so now we don't know where they're thinking, we don't know where they're at, right? Did you ask for the listing agreement to be signed before you left? So remember, we have to close. We have to always ask for the close. The biggest reason that agents don't set appointments, or that agents don't get agreements signed, is because when it comes down to the part where we ask for it, we freeze up and don't ask. And then we let the client take control, and then conversation's over. And then the next thing you know, we've lost them because we didn't do things the way they should be done. So that is not understand That's not a judgment to anyone about anything, right? This is a learning thing, and this is something we all have to learn, and there's a process in this. So stick with what you're doing. Stick with coming here, your group coaching, your video series. Look through the toolkit. You're going to learn the best practices. And Dennis, the limiting beliefs that you've talked about, they will be taken care of. Part of it is just knowing the right things to do. All right. Well, I hope this helped you. Limiting beliefs, guys, is a great thing to bring here. Okay. If you're struggling with something, please bring it here. Let's mastermind around it. Let's help you through it. Okay. I'm going to leave you with a question, and you may hear it again from the other coaches. I want you to think about for next week, what keeps you up at night in regard to your business? Because if I ask you what you're struggling with, you're probably not going to tell me, or you're not going to think of something. But what's that thing that keeps you up at night in regard to your business? Let's bring that back next week, and let's have some mastermind around it, okay? All right, everyone, have a great rest of your week.
This was a good one. Thank you.
Awesome, Dennis. Bye,
Thanks, Jodi.
everyone. You're welcome.